Welcome to another edition of the Wolf Report. I'm Dave, and this is Tuesday. We're coming to you a few stories, some major stories, semi-major, and some good news. We always like to give you good news with a little bit of sports inside of that. Well, the midterms are on the way very quickly, and there's a lot happening to get ready for that by both parties. President wants major retailers to lower cost on many products, as well as gasoline. There's an article in Newsmax Money. It says Trump says Walmart price cuts answer call to lower cost for Americans. He said that the Walmart price cuts his administration seeks to show progress on one of its biggest priorities, one of his critics' favorite attack points, which will become a sticking point for the midterms. It's one that the Democrats are going to hammer, is the high cost of living. He says that lowering the cost of everyday goods for Americans still facing elevated prices. Trump said Walmart agreed to reduce prices on a range of products, including ground beef, after his administration requested that major retailers help provide affordability relief as part of efforts tied to the nation's 250th anniversary, according to Business Insider. He urged other companies to follow the retailer's lead, arguing the move would benefit millions of Americans who rely on the nation's largest retailer. White House said that Walmart's price reductions come after the administration's request and were part of a broader effort to mark the nation's 250th anniversary of helping lower costs for consumers. Walmart later confirmed it would lower prices on select products across its stores, including meat, produce, beverages, and other consumer goods, with ground beef among the items receiving reductions, according to Reuters. The announcement comes as Trump faces continued criticism from Democrats and other opponents who argue Americans remain burdened by high prices and that some administration policies have contributed to affordability challenges. Critics have repeatedly pointed to inflation, tariffs, and the administration's handling of the war with Iran as issues they say have made the cost of living more difficult for American families. Opponents argued that the Iran conflict has added uncertainty to global energy markets, warning that disruptions involving oil supplies and shipping routes could increase costs for gasoline, transportation, and other goods. Energy analysts have said conflicts affecting major oil-producing regions can place upward pressure on crude prices and create broader economic risk, particularly through fuel and transportation costs. The White House has pushed back on those arguments, saying Trump's policies are focused on lowering costs, expanding American energy production, and strengthening the economy while protecting U.S. national security interests, including preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Trump has repeatedly argued that his administration inherited an economy weighed down by inflation, and that his policies are aimed at restoring purchasing power for working Americans. The affordability debate has become one of the most politically significant issues facing the administration, with grocery prices serving as a key measure for voters judging the economy. Food costs remain especially sensitive because grocery bills are among the most visible expenses households encounter on a regular basis. Newsweek reported that Trump has pressured Walmart and other retailers to lower prices as his administration works to demonstrate progress on affordability. Also today, and we're going to place this on the screen, a picture anyway, of the president with some children there in the Oval Office. There was talk of these children's accounts. Well, they rung the bell today. This article from the Epoch Times by Travis Gilmore says that President Donald Trump rang a specially designed bell to simultaneously open the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ during an Oval Office ceremony on July 6th to launch accounts for children across the nation. After a truly historic weekend celebrating the 250th anniversary of America, today we're thrilled to officially launch the Trump accounts, the president said. Quote, children can, at the age of 18 and after, become very wealthy people, come into the world with essentially no money, and end up at a pretty young age being very rich, and that's something that we wanted to do. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent opened the ceremony and encouraged parents to take advantage of the newly launched investment opportunity to benefit their children. Family, friends, and employers can contribute up to $5,000 annually to the tax-advantaged accounts. They are held in the child's name with parents as custodians until the minor turns 18, at which point the young adults gain full control. Contributions are after tax, although investments grow tax deferred. Maximum contributions could result in more than $1 million in accounts by the time the account holder turns 28, according to a Council of Economic Advisors estimate. If held until retirement, the amount could grow to several $1 million. Quote, we're giving this money to children so they can have a good life very early on, Trump said. Children's eligibility is determined by birth year, with all Americans born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028, set to receive $1,000 deposits from the Treasury Department. Funds are automatically invested in stock index funds, primarily tied to the S&P 500 with no fees to open accounts and low asset management costs. Funding for the initiative was included in the comprehensive One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed last year. The rollout was made possible through public and private partnerships. A 50-state challenge seeks to raise money from philanthropists and charitable organizations to expand the program. The American dream belongs to every child, and today we are equipping the next generation with the right to claim their rightful share of it, Bessent said. This will be one of the president's most enduring legacies, and the great bounty of this will go for generations to come. Approximately 30% of children are without stock market investments, a number that will shrink over time thanks to the new accounts, he said, noting that 6 million children have already signed up. The Treasury Department released details of the plan to deposit seed money in March. Now, you parents can visit trumpaccounts.gov. We're going to show that on the screen in just a second to learn more and register their children, and investment tracking is available in a newly launched app. So today we're ringing the opening bell for the stock market. Those accounts will now begin to grow right along with our booming economy, Trump said, noting that $800 million of new investments will benefit children this week. And I really believe we're going to have the biggest boom of all right now. He said the new accounts are about giving every American child a stake in America's future and getting some of the upside. We're giving the money to the children. They can have a very good life very early on, or a good life very early on. Michael and Susan Dell donated $6.25 billion to seed investments for 25 million Americans born between 2016 and 2024. 42 years ago, I started a company in my dorm room with $1,000, and today every newborn American child will start their life with $1,000 invested in America's greatest companies, compounding for the future. But Susan and I didn't want the children that were born just before to be left out. Deposits were made for approximately 1.4 million children moments after the bell rang, with recipients meant to benefit from advanced financial literacy in addition to monetary gains. The funds could help future students attend college debt-free, or the accounts could grow substantially over time if recipients decided to continue investing. I would recommend they probably don't take it out, but they can have a lot of money, especially if the market continues. So, in saying that, I do want to take this one down as we were looking through the this one. Let's take that down and let's add in that app, where you can download that app rather. Hold on. I've got to find where I put that. I know where I put it. Okay. Give me 1 second. Lots of screens and lots of pages. but I wanted to show you the Trump accounts. Let me get back and put this one up on the screen for you. Because you can go here and download the app. And here it is. There's the Trump accounts. We see that on the screen right here. Manage your Trump account with ease. There is a download the app button. And they give you some different things to consider when how these could grow using obviously mythical names here. Could be your kid. And they give you a bunch of things. I want to go to the bottom and look at this. Now, this is for illustration only, but it gives you an idea that based on opening an account at birth with $1,000, and if things went according to plan, if you contributed nothing a year per year, you could definitely have $6,000 at age 18. You could build that. If you start with 1,000, you'd have 6,000. If you did $250 a year, 19,000. If you contributed $5,000 a year, $271,000 is reasonably to be expected by the time they turn 18. If they wait till age 27, look how those numbers grow. Especially this one at $5,000 a year, which is not that much money when you think about it. You could probably part with that per month and do that over 52 weeks or 12 months or however you want to do it. And there's the possibility of that. Now, if they were to hold this till age 55, that's an amazing number. Now, will it get there? There's no guarantees. But with the compounding that we know really benefits, let that just ride. And that's a nice retirement. 55 years old. Awesome. So I think it's a good idea. The only thing that I would say is about this is that the U.S. debt is rising, and the one big beautiful bill added to that debt. So there's some good news here, but some also we're nearing 40 trillion. I mean, there's something that has to happen for that. There are some calling for a constitutional for Congress to act and make it that they have to that each president has to, or each administration has to stay within certain limits to balance the budget. And this thing just continues to grow, and both sides do it. And we're paying nearly 19% of the GDP or whatever is now just paying the interest on the debt we have. Something like that. I may have said that wrong, but I looked at a number earlier today, and that is incredibly sad. We have to get a handle on the debt. And that's a real beast in the room. But this is not a bad idea. And if you're getting mostly corporations, charitable organizations, parents, whoever, to deposit into these accounts and watch them grow, that's a good thing. And the children will have something, at least when they turn 18, they would have a sizable chunk. And if they decided to leave it, even at age 30 or 40, would be a sizable amount of money, allow them to become homeowners or, whatever. Maybe allow, someone to stay at home with the children longer or something like that. So I think those are good things, and we will see. I don't know. Let's look at a little bit of I want to look at a little bit of sports news. We'll update the baseball and everything on the next show. There's some big races going on. All the Phillies did lose big on Monday night, 15-1. And the Yankees are in a free fall. And I said the Phillies lost. I'm going to look at the Steelers have installed a new grass field at their stadium after a player association survey graded the previous surface poorly. The Steelers addressed the conditions of the field at their field, which received an F- grade in the annual report cards from the NFL Players Association last season. Due in part to the poor field conditions at their home stadium, the Steelers ranked last in the survey of NFL players. Soon after the report card results were leaked, Steelers team president Art Rooney said the heavily reviled playing surface would be replaced. He went on to say that it had been in motion anyway, but if it was escalated. Approximately 4 months later, a new grass field has been laid down at Square Stadium, according to the Steelers on SI's Jack Markowski. Precision Turf announced that a Tahoma 31 Bermuda grass was installed this week. Rooney told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette in late February the Steelers had planned to install a new field before the results were leaked. A league mandate requires all playing surfaces to fulfill standards established by lab and field testing. The new Tahoma 31 surface was installed in July so that the sod could take root. Laying down the surface too soon before the NFL preseason begins would result in the grass pulling up too easily, as happened during Super Bowl 57 at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. A mixture of Bermuda and bluegrass, Tahoma 31 Bermuda grass is more resistant to cold conditions and has previously been installed at Chicago Soldier Field and Philadelphia's Lincoln Financial Field. Acrisure Stadium's field was previously of Kentucky bluegrass, which wore down from being used for Steelers games. In addition to the University of Pittsburgh and the high school football games during a given season, the field needed to be resodded 2 or 3 times per season. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was among the most vocal critics of the stadium field, calling the surface borderline unplayable after a Week 6 matchup with the Bills. Other players have complained about the field, saying it was too sandy, too slippery, and too gooey. Your NFL surface should never be too gooey, according to the Post-Gazette's Gary Dulac. 5 teams received an F- from the surveys for poor home field conditions. Tennessee Titans, who are building a new stadium, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New York Jets, and the Giants, who share the field at MetLife Stadium, joining the Steelers. Teams receiving an F grade were the Seahawks, Panthers, and Buffalo Bills. Rooney acknowledged that if the new grass continues to be problematic, an artificial turf surface would be considered. So yes, the potential for injuries go up. The slipping and sliding, and it just reduces the gameplay down to a point where you can't really enjoy the game, or it's frustrating. It could be a benefit if the other team is having problems and you're not, but they need a good playing surface. That's not good for the players. Now, some good news. We're always giving you these news. We try to give you a balance of that, and not some things that you've been hearing everywhere else. So we try to bring up some stories in the Wolf Report that you haven't heard, or maybe not heard much of. Everyone knew that, or has heard of, or should have heard of, there was 2 major earthquakes in Venezuela. A lot of people have died. There's still a lot missing. But let's give you some good news. I'm all about that. 3-year-old rescued after 6 days beneath rubble in Venezuela as rescuers arrived in droves to help the country. A week after 2 magnitude 7 earthquakes struck Venezuela's capital of Caracas, search and rescue teams from around the world are still rescuing people from the jaws of death. This includes Aaron Levi Cantillo, who was trapped under rubble for more than 4 days, and a 3-year-old named Kleber Moran, who was rescued by Jordanians visiting to aid in rescue efforts. It took 43 hours to rescue Cantillo, who had already been trapped for more than 2 days under a collapsed building. Footage released by the Office of Acting President of Venezuela also showed 3-year-old Moran face down and covered in dust when he was located by snake cameras operated by rescue teams above. The boy was underneath the Caracas building for 6 days. The video, filmed on June 30th, 6 days after the earthquake occurred, shows members of the Jordan International Search and Rescue Team carrying the child to safety after pulling him from the debris. Among international calls of solidarity, South American leaders from both sides of the political spectrum, who often have nothing good to say about one another, stepped up to help in a big way. Brazil's president, Lula da Silva, dispatched a team of 71 firefighters, 4 national civil defense technicians, 6 specialists from the National Telecommunications Agency, and 6 firefighter dogs, as well as at least 12 tons of search and rescue equipment, 100 water purifiers, 6.5 tons of medical equipment, and a Brazilian Navy portable hospital operated by 93 Marines and medical specialists. Chilean President Jose Antonio Cast sent a Chilean Air Force plane with 37 team members from the fire department's Urban Search and Rescue Group. The following day, a second plane was sent with 16 rescuers, 3 tons of humanitarian aid, and 2 tons of firefighting equipment. The National Unit for Disaster Risk Management of neighboring Colombia deployed more than 60 rescuers, 4 rescue dog teams, and 12 metric tons of equipment. Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa said that he had ordered the immediate delivery of humanitarian aid, as well as the deployment of 46 urban search and rescue personnel, search dogs, and 6 metric tons of equipment. More than 150 Salvadorian Salvadoran rescue workers and supplies arrived in Venezuela on June 26th as part of El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele's pledge to send 300 rescue workers and paramedics and 50 tons of medical supplies. Mexican authorities provided 250 military rescue crew, rescue dogs, medical supplies, and rescue equipment on board 4 aircraft. The National Emergency Commission of Costa Rica announced the deployment of 48 specialized rescuers, along with approximately 12 tons of rescue equipment and humanitarian supplies. Other nations such as the U.S., Italy, Czechia, France, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, India, Vietnam, Thailand, the UK, Qatar, Jordan, and even Syria also deployed emergency rescue personnel. Now, that's what we can do when the world comes together and acts during national disasters and puts aside differences. And I know that these 2 children will grow up to be truly appreciative of, even though they went through a horrific event and maybe people in their own family even having been killed. I know that they would really appreciate and will grow up to thank these people and nations who sent help and worked side by side in helping to rescue these who are trapped under these buildings. I can imagine what that would be like in any circumstance, much less doing it as a child. Amazing, and praise be to God above that they were okay, that they were able to endure for that length of time till they could get to them, and the care that they had to exercise in order to get them out so that debris would not fall further down. It's a very dangerous work. Continue prayers for them, and we pray that more and more people will be found alive and not deceased as that number continues to grow. They can look at all the issues about building codes and all that as they go forward, but right now they need to still rescue people. And we know that window starts closing pretty rapidly if people don't have water. So let's pray that there's still time for some of those. Maybe they have some supply of water and can hang on a little longer, and that help is on the way. Do pray for them and pray for all the rescuers. And you know what? As we said, in times of great disaster, we forget about a lot of things we argue over, and we get side by side and we do the work that needs to be done. If we could only do that more often, how great and much better would the whole world be. And we appreciate those that are doing. That's your Wolf Report for Tuesday. We appreciate you watching. We hope these are a blessing. They're meant to be quick, concise, cover some news that you maybe not have heard, and be here every day to cover some things in the middle of the day. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. I'm Dave for the Wolf Report and the Wolf Nation Network. Don't forget, our Roku channel is soon to arrive. It's being developed right now by the engineers. But don't also know that you can go to our Substack. You can also get our Wolf Nation coffee, and all those things can be found to the network. And we will share commercials on that, new commercials, very, very soon. Thank you for your support. Give us a like, follow, share. They do help, and we appreciate you so very much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.